The grand chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the holographic display showed another red dot vanishing from the star map. That was the third solar system lost this week to the swarm. Council Representative Gray's hands trembled as he gripped the edges of his floating platform, his pale blue skin turning almost white with stress. "We have lost the Centauri defense line," he announced, his voice echoing through the massive chamber. "The swarm has broken through our strongest fortifications." The assembled representatives of 50 advanced civilizations murmured in fear. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council faced the real possibility of defeat. Their perfect formations, their elegant weapons, their sophisticated battle computers, all had failed against the raw biological fury of the swarm. In his private chamber after the meeting, Gray did something that would have been unthinkable just a few months ago. He opened a secure channel to Earth, a planet the Council had long dismissed as too primitive to join their ranks. Admiral Reed of Earth's United Space Command was reviewing defense reports when the call came through. He was a tall man with gray hair and weather-beaten features, hardened by years of defending Earth's colonies from space pirates and rogue asteroids. "This is unexpected," Reed said, studying the alien face on his screen. He had only seen council members in propaganda broadcasts before. "To what do we owe the honor?" Gray's professional composure cracked. "We need your help. The swarm. They're unlike anything we've faced. Our weapons are ineffective. Our strategies are failing. We've lost 37 systems in the past month alone." Reed leaned back in his chair, his face neutral. "Interesting. I thought humans were too primitive to participate in galactic affairs. Isn't that why our application for membership was rejected 3 times? Times change," Gray said quietly. "We've been watching your conflicts. Your species, you fight differently than anyone else in the galaxy. You're unpredictable, aggressive. You turn anything into a weapon. We found it disturbing before, but now you're desperate," Reed finished for him. The alien nodded. "The swarm operates like a perfect biological machine. They follow patterns we can predict but can't stop. But humans, you break patterns. You ignore conventions. Your military history shows countless examples of inferior forces defeating superior ones through what you call asymmetric warfare." Reed stood up and walked to his office window, looking out at the massive shipyards of Earth's orbital defense station. Construction drones swarmed around half-finished warships and defense platforms. "You're right about one thing," he said. "We do fight differently. We've had to. Earth has never been united until recently. We fought ourselves more than anyone else. It taught us to be creative. Then you'll help." Hope crept into Gray's voice. Reed turned back to the screen. "I'll need to consult with Earth's government. But first, I want to know everything about the swarm. And I mean everything. No more treating us like children who can't handle dangerous information." "Agreed," Gray said quickly. "I'm sending you all our data now. But please hurry. Our models show the swarm will reach the Council's core worlds in less than 6 months." Reed's computer chimed as it received the data package. "One more thing," he said. "When we join this fight, and I expect we will, we do it our way. No interference from the Council in our military decisions." Gray hesitated for a long moment. "Granted," he finally said. "But I pray we don't regret this." As the transmission ended, Reed began reviewing the swarm data. A small smile crossed his face as he opened a channel to Earth's military command. "Get me our top tacticians and engineers," he ordered, "and contact the mining guilds. I have a feeling we're going to need their ships too." In his private chamber, Gray stared at the star map, watching another system turn red. He had just done what no council member had ever done, given humans free rein in a galactic war. He wondered if the Council feared the wrong enemy all along. Captain Thomas stood on the bridge of the Earth warship Thunder, watching his fleet emerge from hyperspace. Around him, 50 human ships took formation near the Council's massive space station. The station looked like a silver flower floating in space, all elegant curves and gleaming metal. Next to it, the human ships looked like blunt hammers, practical, strong, and built for war. "They're hailing us," his communications officer reported. "Put them through," Thomas said, straightening his uniform. The main screen lit up to show a meeting room full of alien commanders. Their military advisor, Blue, stood at the center. He had 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. "Welcome to Command Station Alpha," Blue said, his tone formal. "Though I must point out your ships are not in proper formation according to Council protocols." Thomas smiled slightly. "With respect, we find tight formations make us easy targets. We prefer to spread out and stay flexible." Flexible. Blue's skin rippled with dark patterns. "Military operations require precision. Order. Your own tactical database shows countless losses due to chaos in battle. It also shows countless victories because we adapted to those losses," Thomas replied. He pulled up a holographic display of Earth's ships. "Now let me show you how we plan to fight the swarm." The alien commanders watched as Thomas explained human battle tactics. Their expressions changed from doubt to shock as he described using cargo ships as improvised bombs, mining lasers as weapons, and civilian vessels as decoys. "This is not warfare," one commander protested. "These are the tactics of pirates and thugs. These are the tactics that win wars," Thomas said firmly. "The swarm thinks like a machine, following perfect patterns. We'll break those patterns, hit them where they don't expect it, make them fight our way instead of theirs." Blue stepped closer to the screen. "Your methods are disturbing, but our latest reports show the swarm has taken 3 more systems. Perhaps," he paused, his skin turning a deep blue, "perhaps disturbing is what we need." "Sir," Thomas's sensor officer called out, "we're picking up swarm signatures at the edge of the system. 5 high ships heading for the colony on Beta 7. The alien commanders burst into activity, calling for reinforcements and citing Council defense protocols. Thomas ignored them, already giving orders to his fleet. "All ships, battle stations," he commanded. "Mining vessels, start laying your special packages. Combat ships, prepare for scattered formation Delta. We're going to show the Council how humans fight." "Captain," Blue protested, "the protocols state we must wait for the defense fleet. It will arrive in 6 hours. Thomas turned to the screen, his face hard. "In 6 hours, Beta 7 will be gone. We're moving now." He cut the transmission before Blue could argue further. The Thunder's engines roared to life as the human fleet moved to meet the swarm. Thomas watched his tactical display as the mining ships finished laying their traps. Asteroids filled with explosives and hidden dry systems. "They're entering weapons range," his tactical officer reported. "Swarm ships are moving into their standard attack pattern." Thomas smiled. The swarm's perfect formation was about to meet human chaos. "Send to all ships," he ordered. "Execute Operation Thunderstorm. Let's show the galaxy why you should never back humans into a corner." In the Council station, Blue and the other commanders watched in growing horror and fascination as the human fleet scattered like leaves in a storm, their formation looking like complete chaos. But somehow, in that chaos, Blue saw a pattern emerging, not the elegant mathematical patterns the Council used, but something wild and unpredictable. "May the ancient stars help us," Blue whispered. "What have we unleashed?" The battle for Beta 7 was about to begin, and with it, the galaxy's first real glimpse of human warfare. The swarm ships looked like giant insects made of metal and bone, their dark hulls reflecting no light as they approached Beta 7. On the Thunder's bridge, Captain Thomas watched them draw closer to his trap. "Swarm ships are following their usual pattern," his tactical officer reported. "They're ignoring the mining ships, just as you predicted." Thomas nodded. The swarm always ignored anything that wasn't a direct threat. That was about to become their biggest mistake. "All ships, maintain radio silence," he ordered quietly. "Let them think those mining ships are running away." On the Council station, Blue, and the other commanders watched in confusion. The human fleet seemed to be retreating, leaving only civilian mining vessels behind. It made no sense according to any military doctrine they knew. "What are they doing?" one commander demanded. "They're abandoning the colony." Blue's skin swirled with worried colors. "No, they're up to something." "But what?" The answer came 3 minutes later, as the swarm fleet passed through the field of abandoned mining ships and asteroids. Thomas pressed a single button on his command chair. Now, every asteroid and mining ship in the field suddenly lit up with engine flares. The human engineers had turned them into massive bombs, each one packed with mining explosives. They all fired their engines at once, ramming into the swarm fleet from every direction. The space around Beta 7 turned into a sea of fire. 2 swarm-high ships were destroyed instantly, caught completely by surprise. A third spun out of control, its biological armor cracked open by the attacks. "All ships, attack pattern Omega," Thomas ordered. "Hit them while they're confused." The human fleet swooped in from multiple directions, their formation looking like chaos, but actually carefully planned. They fired their weapons into the gaps created by the explosions, targeting the weak spots their initial attack had created. On the council station, the alien commanders watched in stunned silence. They had never seen the swarm take such heavy losses so quickly. "Their tactics," Blue whispered. "They're not just fighting outside our rules. They're fighting outside any rules." Back on the Thunder, Thomas was already implementing the next phase of his plan. Group 2, execute flanking maneuver. Group 3, prepare for close-range assault. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "the 4th high ship is adapting to our pattern. They're starting to predict our movements." Thomas smiled. He had been waiting for this. "Good. All ships, switch to random attack pattern Delta. No coordination, no patterns. Everyone pick your own targets and hit them however you can." The human fleet suddenly broke apart, each ship fighting in its own way. Some rammed straight into the swarm ships, their reinforced hulls smashing through the biological armor. Others used debris from destroyed ships as weapons, pushing it with tractor beams into the enemy. A few ships even deliberately took hits to get close enough for killing shots. The swarm, faced with an enemy it couldn't predict, began to fall apart. The 4th high ship tried to retreat but was caught in a crossfire. The 5th, seeing its companions destroyed, attempted to call for reinforcements. "Not today," Thomas said. "Launch the EMPs." The final surprise of the battle came as hidden buoys around the battlefield activated, sending out powerful electromagnetic pulses. The last high ship's communications went dead before it could call for help. When it was over, all 5 swarm ships were destroyed. The human fleet had lost 3 ships and several others were damaged, but Beta 7 was safe. As repair crews began their work, Thomas opened a channel to the council station. Blue's image appeared on the screen, his skin now a pale, shocked white. That was not warfare as we know it." "No," Thomas agreed. "That was warfare as humans know it. And we're just getting started." In the debris field around them, the wreckage of swarm ships drifted silently, a testament to humanity's first battle in the Galactic War. The Council had wanted humans to fight. Now they were seeing exactly what that meant. Engineer Wilson walked through the Council's main research facility, carrying a simple toolbox that made the alien scientists nervous. They had good reason to be worried. In the past week, she had turned ordinary maintenance tools into weapons that scared even her fellow humans. Today, she announced to the gathered council members, "I'm going to show you why humans are so good at fighting." The presentation room was filled with the galaxy's brightest minds. Blue sat in the front row, his skin shifting between shades of green and blue as he watched Wilson place her toolbox on the table. "This is a standard repair kit from any human cargo ship," she said, opening the box. "Inside it are 23 different ways to kill a swarm ship." The alien scientists murmured uncomfortably. One raised a tentacle. But these are maintenance tools. They're made for fixing things. Wilson smiled. Exactly. Humans don't just build weapons. We turn everything into a weapon. She picked up a plasma torch. It's for cutting damaged hull plates. But adjust the focus. She twisted something, and the small torch suddenly projected a beam that cut straight through the demonstration wall. Now it's a weapon that can slice through swarm armor. Blue's skin rippled. You mean every human ship, even cargo vessels, can be armed? Yes. Wilson laid out more tools. That mining laser Captain Thomas used at Beta 7. It wasn't modified at all. We just changed how we used it. Humans have been fighting each other so long, we learned to use whatever we have. She brought up a hologram showing a normal human freighter. Look at this ship. The Council sees a simple cargo vessel. We see a battering ram with built-in explosive potential. Those cargo holds. Fill them with rock and use the ship's artificial gravity to turn them into mass drivers. The life support systems. Reverse them to spray superheated plasma. The scientists took notes frantically as Wilson continued her demonstration. She showed them how communication arrays could become signal jammers, how tractor beams could throw debris like missiles, and how even garbage disposal units could be turned into short-range weapons. One scientist looked sick. This isn't warfare. It's survival. Wilson cut in. The swarm doesn't care about rules of war. Neither do we. She pulled up footage from the Beta 7 battle. See these mining ships. Normal Council protocols say they should run from combat. We turned them into bombs because the swarm wouldn't expect it. That's human thinking. Use everything. Surprise them. Hit them where they think they're safe. Blue stood up, his skin now a deep purple. We've analyzed the Beta 7 battle. The swarm tried to adapt to your tactics, but couldn't. Why? Wilson's face turned serious. Because we didn't have tactics, not really. Every human ship fought differently. You can't predict chaos. She packed up her tools, but left one last surprise. Taking out a simple drinking cup, she placed it on the table. Watch this. With a few quick movements, she turned the cup into a small bomb using only materials from her toolbox. This is why the swarm should fear humans, she said quietly. Not because we're stronger or smarter, but because everything around us is a weapon waiting to happen. We don't think like soldiers. We think like survivors. As the scientists filed out, many looking disturbed, Blue stayed behind. Engineer Wilson, he said, your demonstration was enlightening. But I must ask, doesn't this kind of warfare frighten you? Wilson looked at him steadily. What frightens me is losing. Everything else is just a tool to prevent that. She left Blue alone in the room, surrounded by ordinary objects that his people would never see the same way again. The Council had wanted to understand human warfare. Now they were beginning to realize that humans didn't just fight wars. They turned the entire universe into their arsenal. Dr. Marcus stood in his converted asteroid laboratory, watching through thick glass as his latest experiment ate through a piece of swarm armor. The specimen, a modified bacteria strain, was dissolving the alien material like acid through paper. Behind him, Council Representative Gray's face had turned an even lighter shade of pale blue. This is forbidden science, Gray whispered. Biological weapons were banned by the Council 10,000 years ago. The swarm uses biological weapons against us, Marcus replied calmly. We're just returning the favor. The laboratory, hidden in an asteroid belt far from regular space lanes, was humanity's answer to the swarm's biological advantages. While the Council fought with energy weapons and ships, humans had been studying their enemy at the cellular level. Look here, Marcus said, leading Gray to another containment chamber. Inside, a colony of engineered microbes was breaking down a sample of swarm technology. The swarm uses living ships. We made something that eats those ships. Gray watched in horror and fascination. How long have you been doing this? Since day one. Marcus checked some readings on his tablet. The Council gave us all their data on the swarm, remember? The first thing we did was look for biological weaknesses. It's basic human strategy. If something's trying to eat you, figure out what eats it. A scientist rushed into the lab, holding a data pad. Dr. Marcus, the latest test results are in. The strain is evolving faster than expected. It's becoming more efficient at breaking down swarm biomatter. Marcus smiled. Perfect. Prepare it for weaponization. I want delivery systems ready by next week. Weaponization. Gray's voice cracked. You're going to release this thing into space. Not exactly. Marcus led him to a large viewing window overlooking a hangar. Inside, workers were modifying missiles and torpedoes. We're going to deliver it precisely where we want it. Each warhead will carry a different strain. The swarm adapts quickly, so we'll hit them with multiple attacks they've never seen before. Gray stared at the weapons being assembled below. The Council will never approve this. It goes against everything we believe in. The Council approved human methods when they asked for our help, Marcus reminded him. This is how humans fight. We find weaknesses and we exploit them. The swarm thinks it's the perfect biological weapon. We'll show them what Earth's biology can do. An alarm suddenly blared through the facility. A communications officer ran in. Sir, we're receiving emergency signals. The swarm has broken through the Orion defense line. They're heading for the Council's core worlds. Marcus turned to Gray. Still want to debate ethics, or do you want to survive? Gray looked at the biological weapons being prepared, then at the reports of advancing swarm ships. His people's worlds were in danger, and here was a solution. A horrible, forbidden solution that went against millennia of civilized warfare. Do it, he finally said, his voice barely a whisper. But the Council must never know the details. If they knew we were using these methods, they'd throw us out of civilized space. Marcus laughed quietly. Look around, Representative. Civilized warfare failed. Now it's time for human warfare. As Gray left the asteroid base, he looked back at the laboratory hidden in the rocks. The humans had turned an entire asteroid into a biological weapons facility, all while the Council thought they were just mining resources. He wondered what other surprises humans had hidden away, what other terrible weapons they had prepared while smiling at Council meetings. The war was about to change. The swarm was about to learn that humans could be more terrifying than any hive mind could imagine. And the Council was about to understand why developing weapons had been humanity's greatest skill throughout its violent history. The largest swarm fleet ever seen filled the space around the Centauri system. Thousands of living ships moved as one massive organism, their dark hulls blocking out the starlight. On the bridge of the Thunder, Captain Thomas watched the enemy approach. Status of Operation Scorched Space, he asked quietly. His tactical officer checked the readings. All modified asteroids are in position, sir. Dr. Marcus's special packages are ready. But, he hesitated, if we do this, there's no going back. The Council has explicitly forbidden this level of escalation. Thomas looked at the tactical display. The swarm fleet was heading straight for the Council's core worlds. Behind them lay a trail of destroyed systems and consumed planets. Conventional warfare had failed. Council weapons had failed. Even humanity's clever tricks weren't enough anymore. Send the message to all human ships, Thomas ordered. Execute Operation Scorched Space. Authorization code. Earth remembers. Across the battlefield, hidden engines lit up on hundreds of asteroids. These weren't simple bombs like at Beta 7. These were something much worse. Human engineers had spent months hollowing out the rocks, filling them with a mixture of Dr. Marcus's biological weapons and advanced drive systems. Sir, Council ships are demanding we stop, the communications officer reported. They're saying this violates all laws of warfare. Cut communications, Thomas ordered. What they don't know about, they can't stop. The modified asteroids accelerated to near-light speed, their paths calculated by human computers to hit specific points in the swarm fleet. The enemy tried to dodge, but there were too many asteroids coming from too many directions. The impacts were beyond devastating. Each asteroid carried different strains of engineered bacteria, viruses, and nanomachines. As they crashed into the swarm ships, they released their deadly cargo. The biological weapons began their work immediately, eating through the living ships like a disease. On the Council command station, Blue watched in horror as the swarm fleet began to die. Ships didn't just explode. They dissolved, rotted, fell apart from the inside. The biological weapons spread from ship to ship through the swarm's own connected nervous system. By the ancient stars, he whispered, his skin turning completely white. They've weaponized evolution itself. The swarm tried to adapt, but humanity had planned for this. Each asteroid carried a different weapon. Each weapon attacked in a different way. And there were too many attacks happening at once. The mighty fleet began to break apart. "Sir," Thomas's sensor officer reported, 3 Council species have just withdrawn their ships from the battle. They're saying they can't be part of this kind of warfare. Thomas understood their horror. What humanity had just done went beyond normal combat. They had turned an entire sector of space into a killing zone, used banned weapons on a scale never seen before, and demonstrated a willingness to break any rule to win. "Send to all human ships," he ordered. "Move in and finish them off. Standard weapons only now. Let's not make this worse than it needs to be." The remaining swarm ships tried to retreat, showing fear for the first time in the war. But it was too late. The human fleet closed in, their conventional weapons now easily breaking through the weakened enemy ships. When it was over, the battlefield was filled with dying swarm ships and dissolving biomatter. The Council's core worlds were safe, but at a terrible cost. Humanity had shown the galaxy exactly what they were capable of when pushed too far. On the Council station, Blue received a message from his superiors. They wanted an immediate evaluation of human military capabilities. His hand shook as he wrote his response. "They don't just break rules. They break reality itself. The humans have shown us that there are fates worse than defeat. May we never need their help again." Admiral Reed sat in his office on Earth, reading the latest message from the Galactic Council. Around him, holographic screens showed news from across the galaxy. The swarm was retreating from Council space, leaving behind dead ships and empty sectors. Humanity had won the war, but the victory felt heavy. "Play the Council's message again," he ordered his computer. Representative Gray's image appeared, looking more tired than ever. "Admiral Reed, the Council has reached a decision regarding humanity's status in the galaxy. Your species will be granted full membership in the Galactic Defense Committee." Reed noticed Gray's pause before the next words. "With certain conditions, humanity's military forces are to be called upon only in the most extreme circumstances. Your ships will patrol only human space unless specifically requested." And Gray's skin rippled with discomfort. "All research into biological and astronomical weapons must be supervised by Council observers." Through his office window, Reed could see the massive shipyards where humanity continued to build and improve their fleet. The Council might want to restrict human warfare, but they couldn't stop human innovation. His computer beeped with an incoming call from Captain Thomas. "Admiral, you need to see this. Sending footage from our deep space probes." The screen filled with images of the battlefield where they had defeated the swarm. The biological weapons had done more than kill enemy ships. They had changed the very nature of space in that sector. New forms of life were evolving in the debris field, feeding on the remains of swarm biomatter. "Dr. Marcus says we accidentally created a new ecosystem out there," Thomas reported. "The Council is terrified. They're setting up warning beacons around the entire sector." Reed nodded slowly. "They're right to be afraid. We didn't just win a war. We showed them that humans can change the rules of existence itself." His desk computer chimed again. Engineer Wilson's report had arrived, detailing new improvements to Earth's defenses. Her team had taken lessons from the war, finding ways to make every human-controlled star system into a potential weapon. "Send my response to the Council," Reed told his computer. He stood up, looking at the stars through his window. "Tell them we accept their conditions. Tell them humanity will stay in our space, develop our technology, and protect our borders. Tell them we'll come when they call. But remind them to think very, very carefully before they make that call." In the Council's Grand Chamber, Gray read Reed's response to the assembled representatives. Many seats were empty. Some species had withdrawn from the Council after witnessing human warfare. Others had moved their colonies as far from human space as possible. "We should count ourselves fortunate," Blue said from his position near Gray. "The humans could have demanded anything after saving us. Instead, they agree to limit themselves." "No," Gray replied quietly. "They're not limiting themselves. They're giving us the illusion of control while they continue to grow stronger. Look at these reports from their space." The holographic displays showed human shipyards working at full capacity. New defense systems were being built around every human world. Research stations study the remnants of swarm technology, looking for new advantages. "They're preparing," Gray realized. "Not for us, not for the swarm, but for whatever comes next. And when it comes," he shuddered slightly, "when it comes, we'll have to choose between watching them unleash their full power or dying to whatever enemy they face." In Earth's shipyards, a new class of warship took shape. Its hull was stronger, its weapons more advanced, its systems more adaptable. Humanity had learned from the war, and they would never be unprepared again. The galaxy had wanted humans to fight their war. Now they would live with the consequences of that decision, always wondering what new horrors humanity would unveil the next time they were called to battle.